extensively on this show about my complicated relationship with religion. I guess just a shorthand to fill you in case you're like, what? I was baptized Mormon. I was confirmed Lutheran and married in the Catholic Church. I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I say.
That.
When she says it, I sit back and I'm like, wait till you hear this.
And my mom dabbled in Buddhism when I was little too. Nomyo krem yekyo.
I love that.
So right. So I do too. And for me, though, I think part of it is having learned so many different perspectives as it comes to the teachings of Christ. I struggle with people who they present as though they're Christians and do everything in contrast to that. Tell us a little bit about your background in studying theology.
Yeah, well, and I think being exposed to different faith traditions really kind of enriches your own beliefs. It's almost like learning a second language or a third language. You really don't understand your language until you learn another one. And in my experience, that's how religion is. And we all benefit from learning from other people's traditions and the wisdom that's present in every tradition. So my granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And he taught me at a very early age that Christianity is a simple religion, not an easy religion, but a simple religion, because Jesus only gave us 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. And so those 2 commandments have kind of driven my life. It's why I signed up to be a public school teacher. It's why I signed up to run for office, because I was taught to believe that service is foundational to our faith. Religion should kind of move us out of the sanctuary into the streets. Our prayer should sustain our action, because faith without works is dead. That's what Scripture tells us. So, I want to get back to a place where Christianity is about loving our neighbors as ourselves. I think if we can do that, we can really turn this country around if we get back to those first principles.
In studying theology, do you have a sense, or has it, I mean, I guess we can go all the way back, because there's religion, Christianity has often been used as an excuse to control people, hasn't it? I mean,
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, and it's not just Christianity. It's really in almost every tradition. Powerful people will use these beautiful religious traditions to control people and to consolidate wealth and power for themselves. I mean, this is the playbook of the powers that be. And I often, this may be too nerdy for you and your listeners, but for any church historians, I say that the first Christian nationalist was Emperor Constantine, because he was the first one that really tried to use Christianity to serve the needs of the empire, the same empire that killed Jesus. So we've been struggling with this for a long time in the church, and so whether it was Bull Connor using Christianity to justify Jim Crow, or whether it was Adolf Hitler using Christianity to justify his actions in Nazi Germany, we have seen powerful people perverting our beautiful faith tradition, and it is incumbent upon Christians of all kinds, whether you're a conservative Christian or a progressive Christian, to speak out against that perversion of our faith. That's what Dr. King did in the Deep South. It's what Bonhoeffer did in Germany. We need more Christians to speak out on behalf of the true gospel.
I agree, and I will tell you that I married into a Catholic family, and the church that we attend, I was caught off guard because I come from this very eclectic background, but he would call out the fact that we were supposed to be building bridges, not walls, like during the first Trump presidency, and I was like, okay, and my husband grew up in a tradition of Catholicism that was grounded in the true teachings of Christ, and pro reproductive health for women, very broad-minded and very progressive. And so, I was thrilled by that. I was like, oh, okay. And I think that a lot of people like me have been driven from the church because we saw the hypocrisy and the control.
And a lot of other things that we saw when we were, I also grew up Catholic. But at the base of it all, my mom always said, because she didn't grow up Catholic, which was strange. Her mother was Pentecostal, and they were different, but we grew up Catholic. But my mom always told us, at the end of the day, you live your life the way you know you're supposed to live it. And if somebody else isn't living it what you think is the right way, you love them, you wait it out, and you pray them through it. So pray them through it.
Yes.
Let them make their choices, whatever they decide to do, but it's not your job on this earth to judge them.
Yeah.
You love them. You wait till they do. And so that's why now, even I say I'm Catholic, but all my children have, like, if my mother was around right now, she'd be so upset. None of my grandchildren have been baptized. Like, none of them have made their first communion. I did that for all of my children, but all of my children have just chosen, like, they do not follow the Catholic faith. They're Christians, or they go to some other faith-based church, or so they believe in just being good and being kind, and I am okay with that. Like, I think at the end of the day, that's what we need to get back to. So I'm a new fan of yours. So Patti just turned me on to you, and I've just been sharing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I think that when you speak, your true desire to just serve is what comes through, and politics is supposed to be about public service. So I think the way you speak, that the fact that the service part is what is resonating with everyone is definitely what we need more of. And I appreciate you and pray for you, because wholeheartedly we need more.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and I got on TikTok about a year ago and started talking about some of this stuff on that platform. And I've just been overwhelmed by the number of young people in particular, my fellow millennials, but also Gen Z. And they've sent me so many messages saying that they feel like they have been pushed away from religion. They've been pushed away from the church because of all the hate and the bullying and the division. And, so many of them say, I love Jesus, but I really don't like organized religion. And I tell them, well, Jesus didn't like organized religion either. So you're in good company. Jesus befriended immigrants and the poor and the outcasts. And the only people he condemned were religious people who used their religion to hurt others. And so if we want to be Christ-like, if we want to follow Jesus, then we've got to start calling out these religious authorities that are intent on bullying and harassing the least of these.
And to that, I mean, because so many people use Christianity as a sword when it comes to legislating, tell us about your philosophy and how, what the relationship principles should inform policy decisions, if that's a driving Christian element to your worldview.
Yeah, well, I have been kind of an outspoken critic of Christian nationalism, which I see, again, as a perversion of my faith. There is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is the worship of power, political power, social power, economic power in the name of Christ. And so, there have been bills here in the state capitol in Texas to force every teacher to display the Ten Commandments in their classroom. There was a bill to replace school counselors with untrained, unsupervised religious chaplains. There's currently a bill to defund public schools to pay for private Christian schools. And I believe that all of these policies are antithetical to the life, death, and teachings of Jesus. And so, I think we need more Christians speaking out against these bills and really refocusing us on true Christian values of feeding the hungry, healing the sick, clothing the naked, and liberating the poor.
And just taking care of each other.
That's right. Yep. That's right. And the further we get from that, the more people we're going to lose from our churches. I mean, the reason young folks aren't showing up is because they don't see Jesus in the church. And we've got to fix that. So I think we've got to return to our roots and get back to just trying to follow Jesus as imperfectly as we can. None of us are gonna do it perfectly, but we can at least wake up every day trying to live out that example.
I I love that young folks are finding you. And of course, this Gen Xer found you on TikTok, and I've shared you with folks in my circle, and I often talk about how much the conservative, the white Christian nationalists have really run the table when it comes to getting that message out for decades. You're young, using social media. I also think that there's still a lot of value to having these conversations on radio shows like this. I know podcasts are popular, but we know that more than half the country still listens to radio in their tractors, semis, in their cars. And that's one of the reasons I was like, I mean, one of the things I remember as a traveling comic across Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, was it seemed as though sermons would just go right into Rush Limbaugh in the night. So it became part of that sort of that tradition of of that, unfortunately, propaganda of using this sort of. I mean, are you finding more voices like yours in parts of Texas?
I am, and I'm seeing it from those very young people who have been pushed away from politics and from religion. They are starting to wake up and starting to reclaim some of this stuff, and I think it's so inspiring and so encouraging. I really do think we're starting to see the beginnings of a backlash to the politics of division that has tried to separate us from each other. You played the clip where I was giving a speech about the billionaire mega donors who are trying to take over state government here in Texas. We're also seeing this, of course, at the national level too. But I really don't think of politics as left versus right. I think about politics as top versus bottom. It is these powerful, wealthy special interests that try to keep us all divided so that we don't realize that they're robbing us blind. They want us fighting over culture war issues so we don't notice that they're closing our schools and eliminating our health care. So we've got to get to a politics of unity where we focus on what we have in common, and so that we can come together and take power away from the people at the top and bring it back to our communities where it belongs.
Outstanding.
How do we do that when you still have some people at the, I guess, and this is going to be faith, because this is what I pray every day for patience for this. And some days I find I just don't have any. I struggle with that. For those of us who don't have the power, sometimes there's still people amongst you who are struggling because they're more focused on maybe getting that power than really helping things. And so instead of working together, they kind of hold others back and hold others down. So how do you keep the faith, and how do you get through that spiritually, faithfully, politically? How do you get through that struggle of looking at someone in the same position as you, yet what their focus isn't your focus? And so how do you get through that?
It is not easy. Let me just say that up front. I too am tempted by hopelessness, especially during these difficult times for our country and our state. So I don't want to lie and say that this is something easy for me to do. But I will tell you that I see examples all around me of people who are transforming the darkness into light. So, for instance, about an hour ago, I had a meeting here in my office at the state capitol with some family members who lost their children in Uvalde, Texas. You remember there was a horrific school shooting where we lost 19 babies and 2 teachers in a classroom at Robb Elementary. And those parents who lost their children are still making the 160-mile trip to the Texas Capitol to advocate for common sense gun safety measures that can save other people's children. And I don't know how they find the strength. If that happened to me, I'd probably crawl under my bed and never come out. But these parents have somehow found, the only thing I can think is that it's a divine love that transcends any human understanding. But they are motivated to leave their home every week, come up to the Capitol, and organize lawmakers to try to stop this carnage. And so if they can do that after losing the most important thing in the world to them, then all of us can find the strength to keep going. And that's what gives me hope. It's the people who are doing this work in incredibly difficult circumstances.
Well, I know that you have had a busy day, and I would love to touch base with you again sometime soon when your schedule allows. Again,
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yes, please. We need more of you. We need to know that there. We talked to folks from all over the country. Jess Piper in Missouri, Kaylee in Peterson in Idaho, Afton Bain in Tennessee. As many people doing the work that you're doing, because I think that people everywhere need to know that there are warriors like you out there with the shield. I mean, like I said, that I think that's where Democrats, and that's what I want to talk to you about next time. Is the Democrats come out with a shield. We're here to help people and protect, and it seems like they're out there to cut people down. And I want to get behind your shield, sir.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's our party at its best, is when we're fighting for people. And I hope we get back to that.
That's Representative James Talarico. Please follow him on all the social media. Share him, share his videos to inspire others and to get out there and do the work. Thank you so much, Representative. Go get him, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye. He's the best.
Oh my goodness!
Seriously, I'm a total. He said he's a nerd, and I'm like, I'm about to dork out, sir. I mean, like he gave me so much hope in the middle of the night when I was doom scrolling one night. So I wanted to share him.
When you shared that with me, I'm like,
yeah,
we need that.
He's the real deal. Yeah, I got the chills. And I know that there are a lot of great legislators out there. I think you need to keep an eye out for Representative James Talarico. Follow him everywhere. We'll have him back on the show when his schedule allows. Let's take a break here. In a few moments, we're going to talk about the International Women's Day market coming up. And Lady B, I'll get you that information for our guest from the Chamber of Commerce from Ravenswood. More in a moment, I think, or Lincoln Square, or both. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We're in studio with Carmen Navarro Gercone. And we'll continue after this.
Think Theory Radio.
Theoretical astrophysicist Dan Hooper.
If there's someplace a light year away from now, there's nothing I can do now that can influence that place in less than a year. No matter what I do, no matter how I build my quantum machine, or no matter what I entangle or what I quantum teleport, nothing I can do here can affect that until a full year has passed, allowing light to get there at the speed of light.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820. Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low temperature of 34 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Friday, we'll see partly sunny skies with a high of 56 degrees and winds out of the southwest at up to 45 miles an hour. There is a wind advisory in effect for Friday afternoon. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature around 31. Sunday, sunny and a high of 36. Monday, chance of rain, high of 45. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 46.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Stephanie Miller.
I've gotten more mail than I've ever gotten in my entire life. Because a lot of people have a lot to share, and they can't always make it on the phone lines, or they're nervous. And trust me, whatever you're going through, me too. All of us. Wherever you are in your timeline. Drunk, sad, scared, angry. Right there with you. Thank you for people saying they're not listening to anybody but me. I think that's a good plan. Because I'm just like, blah, 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 blah.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11 on WCPT 820. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors.
on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, joined in studio by Carmen Navarro Gercone, guest co-host today. And yesterday we had Maggie O'Keefe on, the committee woman for the 40th Ward, and we were talking about some International Women's Day events coming up the weekend of March 8th and 9th. And I'm thrilled to welcome Nicole Benjamin from the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. Yes.
What is her name?
Nicole Benjamin. Do you know Nicole?
Nicole, did you go to Niles West High School?
I did.
What? As
Come
soon
on
as
now.
you said the name.
Wait, what is your name?
Carmen Navarro.
Oh my God, Carmen!
This is amazing. Okay, you two catch up. Wait, what? This is wonderful. It's so funny because we were talking about Niles West on Tuesday. Hi, how are you? You should go ahead and catch up for a minute if you want. I don't mind.
Oh no, we'll catch up when I stop by the Women's Day market thing.
Yeah,
but no,
Carmen,
it's not.
you must. I would love to see you.
Oh, absolutely. I will definitely be there. As soon as she said Nicole, I said, wait, who?
She's the director of special events and the leader of community events and fundraising for the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so tell us about this, because I know that we talked to our friends about the Apple Fest. We talk a lot about the Winter Brew and the Wine Stroll and all these summer concerts. Tell us about the International Women's Day Market.
Well, we started this 4 years ago, so I'm super excited. It has just slowly been growing organically. So we expanded to 2 days last year, and we're going strong March 8th and 9th. So excited that for this year's weekend, it actually does fall on International Women's Day because it's on a Saturday. And we basically just want to promote, there are so many small businesses that are women-owned and women-led that we wanted to shine a light on all of them in Lincoln Square and Ravenswood and around the Chicago area, because they put forth, so many unique, beautiful items that contribute to our local economy. And it's just a one-stop shop. And so many of them know each other. It's great for them to meet up with each other. Some of the businesses have had brick and mortars for years. Some of them only have online shops. So we've got, ready-to-eat food. We've got beverages. We've got jewelry, special services, doctors. Just a little bit of everything. And it's at Artifact Events in Ravenswood, which is a beautiful space to showcase them all.
Was that where we went for that big event with the?
Yes, it's
this massive
space.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah, different levels and bird cages for some reason. We don't know why.
Exactly. Yes, the bird cages.
Well, we know why, but
this is so much fun. I love that space.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm a volunteer at the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, and we're huge fans of Hillary's Cookies, one of the vendors at this event.
Yes. So Hillary's joining us. Sometimes it's tough for the brick and mortars to break away for the weekend, so I'm really excited. And she's bringing tons of her cookies, but she also does focaccias, and she's doing some nut butters and some scones. So, yeah, in addition to that, we're also going to have Cafe Tola joining us for the first time. That is a woman-owned business, and they're going to have a variety of empanadas and iced horchata lattes.
I'm so excited.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I know we're going to be there.
Yeah,
Carmen.
we are. We'll be there.
Besides, Koval's going to be there. Yeah. So,
Koval will be there sampling some whiskeys. We're going to have one of our farmers market vendors is Driftless Prairie Meats and Market. So they're in the Driftless region of Wisconsin, but have some offices here in Chicago. So they're going to be selling some sustainably raised, small farm meats, but they're also going to be making Driftless dogs on site for people who like a good hot dog. I do.
I love it. Yeah, you guys, this venue is spectacular, first of all. And it's such a great way to showcase all these great businesses. They've got anything from, whether it's, as she mentioned, some of the food, some of the beverages, but also artwork and clothing, right? It spans everything. I love this.
It feels like a community inside. That's why that's why I like the space and the way it lays out. You feel like you're walking through a small town in there.
Truly. And I know there are a lot of markets that have, tickets to purchase, but for us, we just, keep it open for people to come in and enjoy, and if they are going to spend dollars, we want them to spend them with these incredible businesses. We've got, Molasses is a wonderful brick and mortar in Ravenswood, and she has some beautiful products that she makes. She also shops Europe and brings back one-of-a-kind vintage pieces. And then we've got a new business that doesn't have a brick and mortar. It's textile, and she has the most colorful, beautiful kimono robes and quilted jackets. Nomadic Aunt, who you must know, here in Lincoln Square. She has really cool jewelry. She sources directly from businesses when she goes to travel in Indonesia and Hungary and all over the world. And, for me, I used to sling wine and cheese for a living, so I'm a sucker for a really good story about where something comes from. So to buy a piece of jewelry that's, from a sisters collective in Argentina or something, I love those, those one-of-a-kind pieces. And for me, sometimes the story just sells it.
I love that. Again, we're talking to Nicole Benjamin, the Director of Special Events with the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce. And by the way, you mentioned that you used to sling wine and cheese. You didn't by any chance ever know cross paths with Christine Bloomer, the wine diva?
Wait, did she used to work at the chopping block? No.
She was a regular on WGN Radio. She used to do this amazing thing where she would help. She passed away in about 12 years ago. She was the most magnificent human being, but she would do this thing where she would pair wine with Halloween candy for parents who were handing out candy. It was the best segment, and I've been trying. I've replicated it once, so I'm always looking for a sommelier. So maybe we'll get you and Carmen in studio for Halloween this year.
Yeah,
and so
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I love it. So, by the way, folks, it's a 2-day event. It is at it's at Artifact Events, which is really a spectacular venue at 4325 North Ravenswood Avenue. And this is what a wonderful event that you guys have put together. I really am so glad. And by the way, a listener texted into both of you, Carmen and Nicole. I think it's good that you guys are now, I think, the more prominent alums rather than Merrick Garland of Niles West.
I'll try not to laugh too hard.
Yeah, you didn't want anyone to remember that? Yeah, somebody.
Whatever.
Oh, we can also go back to Olympic gymnast Bart Connor.
Yeah, you can go back that far.
There you go. He's great. He's great.
That's all we heard about in high school. Okay.
Yeah, we have. I'm sorry, we had Johnny Weissmuller, and then Adrian Zmed is about all. Lane Tech.
Adrian Zmed.
Oh my God, I love it. TJ Hooker.
I will tell you also that so Artifact Events in Ravenswood, there is tons. If you plan on driving, there is tons of free parking just right outside of there. But it's easily accessible. It's like a half a block away from the Montrose Brown Line station, or if you want to take a ride share too. But it's nice to find free parking in Chicago where there is plenty on the north side.
It is, and it's such a great, seriously, folks. All the vendors in this great space. Carmen and I will definitely be there. I don't know which day. Yeah. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on March 8th and 9th. What's the best location for people to find out more information about the vendors, the location, and all those facts?
If you head over to our website, lincolnsquare.org, and it's under one of our events, International Women's Day Market, so it'll give you all the info. You can check out all the vendors. You'll see that we'll also have one of our businesses, Juki, a portrait boutique. She's actually going to be on site bringing tons of her photography equipment to do a Look Good, Do Good fundraiser for anyone who needs a new headshot.
Oh! I just had mine done today. We'll do some more.
You guys, go check out the information and find out about all the vendors. There's just a wide range of wonderful treats and goodies and things. It's celebrating art. It's celebrating entrepreneurship. It's celebrating what women bring to our communities. And now I have to ask, speaking of women, what is your favorite memory, Nicole, of Carmen? Now, how did you guys, were you guys classmates? Were you in homeroom?
We were in the same year. I don't even remember what classes we had together, but we definitely had a lot of friends in the same circle.
We did.
Yeah.
And we always had super friendly vibes. Carmen, I think you might agree our biggest connection was Julie.
Yes.
Julie Mizak.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Who I'm still close with, and I can't wait to tell her all about this.
Tell her to come to the event.
Well, she lives in Seattle.
Did she tell you? I went to a conference in Seattle a few years back, and I actually reached out to her, and we actually got together while I was out there, because I'm like, I'm not going to be all the way out here and not see Julie.
Nice.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And she's the best.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you next weekend.
Yes, come hang out with Nicole Benjamin, Carmen Navarro Gercone, and me. We're going to be at this event. Thank you. One more time, the website for folks and social media handles for all the events.
So our website, lincolnsquare.org, and you can find us at Instagram at LSRCC Chicago.
Excellent. All right, we'll see you next week. Look forward to meeting you, too.
I look forward to seeing you again, Nicole.
Take care.
Me, too. Great talking to you both.
Thank you.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Have a good night, Nicole. That's so funny. And then I was like, am I putting either one of you on the spot if I ask you, like, what's your favorite memory of Carmen Navarro Gercone? No. Because isn't it weird when you run into somebody who, like, knew you from before times? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
everyone has a different opinion.
And it definitely, opinions change over time.
Yes.
So that's the great thing. Like Nicole will tell you when she said the person that we had in common most was Julie. And that's true. That's how you travel in the same circle. So you may not have shared classes. You may not have had a lot in common, but the interactions were positive enough that even as time goes by, you're like, oh, I remember you. Even if you didn't, like, we didn't go out to parties together. We didn't, like,
right.
Like, it wasn't like that, but it was always friendly. And those are the memories. Like, that's what you want. You may not remember exactly what someone did or what they said or what you entered, but you definitely remember how people make you feel. Oh, and I always got positive vibes. And so that's why as soon as you said her name, I'm like, wait a minute. What is your name?
And it's funny because there are people like I really have such fond memories of. And so when I run into have you gone to your high school reunions?
Yes.
I went to my 20 and my 30. Have I had my 30? Yeah, because they said the 35 last year. Holy cats. And what was wild was seeing people that I had fond memories of, avoiding people that I didn't have fond memories of, and who I had complicated relations. I know it's hard to believe that I might have complicated experiences from high school a little bit. Someday I got to tell you. Maybe on our shared ride over to our
to the Market Day, Artifacts.
Yeah. Artifacts. I love that place. But no, I loved the look on your face because it was pure joy of like, wait a minute, I know this person. Yeah. It's so exciting that we're going to get to connect you guys at this event.
I love it. So we're going to do it. But yeah, I think that's important. At high school, I had a great time in high school. Like I said, when I first moved to Skokie, it was a little rough that first summer.
Right.
But it was Julie, who she brought up, was one of my first friends. In junior high, like when I said it was the Jewish community that really embraced me, and that is true, and Julie is one of them, and so like junior high was a little rough starting,
sure,
but overall all my memories of growing up in Skokie and going to Niles West, like positive. High school, there were some rough times, so it was all mostly good for me. I'm definitely lucky there.
Well, I think that for a lot of people, and I don't want to speak for all Gen Xers who went to high school in the 80s, but I think that we had a pretty nice bubble of time in the 80s, right? And because first of all, we didn't have and we wouldn't have awareness of the full impacts of what Reagan did to the middle class, to working families. By the way, I was a complete dork. I mean, I just wrote a piece about how I used to race home in the summer. It was a summertime, I think, when they were having the Iran-Contra hearings, and Ollie North, and apparently they had this whole, subversive element of the government in the White House basement and all. And I was like, what? And I mean, I was a complete dork in high school. I wasn't necessarily keyed into everything, but the music. I'm going to New Orleans on Sunday, and my friend messaged me. She said we're doing an 80s party on Tuesday for Mardi Gras, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have time to go thrift store shopping because I don't have how much fun would it be to have parachute pants?
Oh, and my
I used to wear the bright striped rugby shirts. Remember those were really popular in the 80s. I could do the hair. I could definitely do my hair with all curly and then spike the band. That I could definitely do. Just enough hairspray.
So my hair was always long in high school. I always had all the hair and definitely. So I don't know how I would do that short. I don't even know what short hair looked like.
I actually had really short hair in 1980 for 85, 86 because I was a tomboy, and I thought, because they would always make fun of me, I'm like, well, maybe if I look I don't know, it was so stupid. And my cheerleading team was mad because I couldn't wear a bow anymore. It was a very complicated time for me.
Isn't it funny? I could see that, though.
Yeah, I was playing Little League Baseball, and I was a cheerleader.
Well,
I mean, and I think that's what I mean by the 80s is I felt like I could do, the world was open to me. I didn't feel even though the boys made fun of me and they hated having me on the team and I wasn't very good, I never felt like there wasn't anything I couldn't do. And I feel like we're in this space now where we're telling people that they have to fit in these boxes. They have to prove who they are. And, it's really weird.
And what are the kids, I know, especially in high school, we had peer counseling programs at our high school. We had snowball, so we went away to retreats every year. We learned how to be nice to each other, take care of each other. Can you believe that?
What?
Like, those are the programs we had. And we went with other high schools and we literally had peer counseling where we get together and we talk about it. We'd help each other through bullying things.
What?
Like, it was insane. And we were soccer players and basketball players and volleyball players. And it's like, when I think about that, I'm like, that is what's wrong with what's going on. Not to say we didn't have our drama, because there was some drama.
So there's still hormones.
Yeah, but overall, like, and I'm like, now, do kids in high school even have peer counseling programs, or I don't even know if Snowball even exists anymore now, but where they can talk and relate and find like views, and so like do they even have that? I don't even know if they have that kind of stuff now.
I don't know. And again, when I think about, because I remember sitting in an office one day in the 90s, I was in grad school, and I remember hearing the journalists talking about Bill Clinton and the stain on the dress. I mean, like, I felt like I couldn't imagine being 10 years old, 12 years old, and asking my parents, like, what was oral sex? Like, why are we talking about a cigar? What's the stain? I mean, like, to me, like, that felt like innocence lost of like having like the and Joan always has a great segment on the media and their role and everything, and there was this sort of idea that I guess, you know, reporters never would like expose that kind of stuff, you know, whether it was Roosevelt or Kennedy, like they all kind of knew that they were doing kind of shady sexual stuff, but that we didn't. But like all of a sudden it was so tawdry and icky, and I just remember thinking, I don't need to know this, and
it got worse now.
Yeah, and it's absolute. Oh my God! I mean, I would draw a straight line. I mean, that everyone was so mad about a cigar and the dress, right? The Republicans pushed that, Ken Starr, all these people, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's locker room talk. Like what? Or anyway, to me I just remember doing some work and thinking, this is crazy town.
Well,
because of the sheer hatred of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, like that was the singular thought for these Republicans, Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole, and I mean, like all of them, you know, yeah.
I cannot. Like my oldest grandchild is 11, and when they went trick or treating last year, one of the houses when they went trick or treating wouldn't give the kids candy unless they were chanted Trump.
What? I don't like this timeline at all. Let's take a break here. The phone lines are open. 773-763-9278. Let's continue our conversation. Carmen Navarro Gercone joins us in studio. And coming up at 6:30, Carmen and I were talking off the air about this story out of Idaho where a woman was forcibly removed from a town hall meeting. We are going to talk to one of the people that was there and videotaped what happened to her. So that's coming up at 6:30. We're going to talk to Laura Tenneson, who was a witness and videographer to the chaotic arrest of activist Dr. Teresa Borrenpohl.
I wish somebody would.
Man, I gotta start working out some more before I start saying things like that. More in a moment. I'm gonna do like, you know how 2-year-old toddlers just go like dead weight, you know, like that's how I would just be like, what?
Drop your center.
Exactly. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
I remember doing an interview many years ago with a celebrity who was kind of a big deal at the time, who told me all about the crippling denial she experienced as she was slowly but surely developing type 2 diabetes. Turns out her doctor had warned her over and over again that she was pre-diabetic, and her response was, yeah, but I don't have the disease yet, right? That is how a lot of people think about chronic disease, rather than taking action earlier or in the progression of an illness when, frankly, it's easier to see results. Now, if you want to figure out if you're at risk, you can Google this, CDC Diabetes Risk Test. Answer a couple questions. Turns out you can lower your risk of developing diabetes by eating more plants, eating fewer ultra-processed foods, getting plenty of exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, and, of course, not smoking. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you for joining us for this drive home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. Thrilled to welcome Carmen Navarro Gercone, who's a former candidate for Cook County Sheriff. I feel like a connector here. I mean, that's the thing about Chicago and the Chicagoland area. We're like the biggest small town in the world. Like, what were the chances?
We are. That's why I always say you have to be nice to everyone you meet. You should be nice to everyone you meet, because you never know who they're connected to, who they know, or who's going to run into your child and be like, wait a minute, is your mother, you want them to be nice to your kids and nice to you.
I hadn't thought about that part.
Yes.
Well,
remember that.
Look, I'm nice to everybody until I'm proven wrong, that they don't deserve my niceness. They don't deserve my energy. I am working, have I told you I'm working on new material? I realize, so I love ghost stories. Have I told you? I love scary stories. And I love them. And I realized one day, part of me wants to be a ghost someday. I mean, like, not anytime soon, but I want to be a ghost. And not to, like, be someone who, like, shoves you down the stairs or writes, like, scary things on the walls. I want to get revenge on the people who have done me wrong. And it won't be anything, like, obvious. It'll be like your socks always feel just soggy. Right? Like, every time you try to go to bed, like, you're trying to, right when you're about to fall asleep, now you have to get up and pee. Or that's me.
Pull the blankets off your feet. So
1,000%. All the things. Like, every time you try to send a text, it's like to send to your whole family, like all kinds of cuss words. Because there's like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Yes. I want to be Patty the Petty Ghost.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Just saying.
Very good.
I'm just saying, I'm Patty the Petty Ghost.
I like that.
I
like that.
And here's the thing: if you go before I do, I'm still going to mess with you for eternity. Now you got me for, like. Do you think I'm ever going to stop?
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, like, have you met me?
Have you met? No, we know you're not going to stop.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to. No. Can't stop.
So just learn how to communicate.
Yeah,
that's what we tell people. Learn how to.
There's time.
You don't like my reaction? Maybe you should ought to consider the way you communicate your...
Yeah, I got people in my own building. Not people I work with, but they're people I cross paths with. It's uncomfortable for them. I'm more than happy. I live in their discomfort. Are you kidding me? I soak it up. I draw my energy from their discomfort.
Rent-free in your head.
I ooze. Hi, you. Hey, how's it going? Hi, Treasure. Anyway, hey, Jim, how are you doing today? You're out with me and Carmen Navarro Gercone.
Hi, Carmen. Hi, Patty. They had the news media was delighted today. They gave a podcaster of the mega podcaster the black book on Jeffrey Epstein, and he had a gleeful look on his face. Can't wait to pull over. Go to the period interest for the public, because that's all they seem to be interested in. But the other thing that kills me, when people talk about generations, I never came to somebody's house and tried to figure out what generation they came from. It was completely irrelevant to me. I thought, well, they're in the Homo sapien family, maybe, but they must be in the Homo sapien family. So whatever generation it is, I never even consider generations. It's just the silliest thing I ever heard. Baby boomers, all this nonsense. I mean, we're all human beings, and we're stuck together, and that's all there's to it. But your first guest was what I always thought of politicians. was to take civilization as a whole and try to move it forward. Take whatever knowledge we have in medicine and science and so on and try to move it forward. And I think that Kamala Harris was on that right track, which she talked about health care as a right. Because every human being must realize that medicine was created for the Homo sapien, for the human being. And everyone should share in it.
Yep.
And what's going on now, think about these cuts. These cuts are, you're talking about poor people in different countries and so on that they're relying on food aid or vaccinations or you name it, and they're gleefully cutting these things. To what end? To what end? Are they moving civilization forward? I would argue they're not. They're taking us backward, and that's what's so infuriating about this. And especially now, it seems like you can't hear an intelligent response from anybody.
I agree. What I can't, we talk often about social media and the reaction that I get from people who are angry about some of our posts. They're, I guess you're just against finding fraud and waste, and like they're so excited. And to I hear Jim's voice sometimes now during the day, where like this Africana, who this billionaire, they're so excited about a billionaire who bought our government and now tells us how he wants our lives to be led.
Yeah.
Like, how is this? What bizarre? This isn't even a James Bond movie. Like,
and they're okay with it.
They're cheering it. I'm sorry.
Carmen, I don't know if you ever saw Bishop Fulton Sheen. He used to be on Sunday night. We all watched it. It was on for half an hour. He got 21 million viewers every week. And he would rail against, not even billionaires then, it was multi-millionaires, and why the sickness that they had to gather all this money together. He couldn't understand that. And I can't understand it either. And I'm praying for Pope Francis. Now, Francis' story, St. Francis, what he did was he gave all of his money to the poor, and his old man said, I put you in the nut house. You're going to the nut house. He goes, well, okay, you'll have to put me in the nut house because I'm going to keep doing it. And Francis and Pope Francis took that name, I'm sure, under that consideration. But we are going so far backwards with this insanity that, and then think about this guy who's president. 34 felony counts. Boom! He was the only time he was really put on trial.
According to MAGA, he was never convicted. Like they're incapable of accepting the truth. I know.
Those 12 jurors were fake. They were fake people in a fake jury box somewhere in the moon. Anyway, Carmen, you guys are great. Thanks Patty.
Thank you. Have a great night, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. We're going to take a break. All my callers that are on hold, I will definitely get to your calls right after the news. We are in studio with Carmen Navarro Gercone. Just a quick note, earlier today during questions from the press, Trump was asked, but you called Zelensky a dictator last week, and he goes, "Did I? That doesn't sound like something I would say."
I heard it while I was listening. I'm like,
what? Does it? Okay, let's take it.
And people are going to say he didn't say that.
He did. Okay, more in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is using a visit to Washington to press President Trump not to abandon Ukraine as he looks to find a quick end to Russia's invasion. Starmer says he applauds Trump's push to end the war, but at a joint news conference emphasized they have to get it right.
It can't be peace that rewards the aggressor or that gives encouragement to regimes like Iran. We agree history must be on the side of the peacemaker, not the invader.
He also delivered an invitation from King Charles for a state visit, noting it was historic as Trump received one from Queen Elizabeth during his first term.
The answer is yes, and we look forward to being there and honoring the king and honoring really your country. Your country is a fantastic country, and it'll be our honor to be there.
Elsewhere in Washington, Donna Warder reports questions being asked about Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency team.
Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Congressman Jerry Connolly of Virginia, and several other Democratic lawmakers have sent a letter to the White House and Elon Musk demanding to know how the DOJ cost-cutting team is sharing potentially sensitive information and whether lapses in security may have exposed U.S. defense and intelligence secrets. The lawmakers wrote, DOJ employees do not appear to fully understand much of the information to which they have been given unfettered access. And given the cavalier and incompetent ways that they have handled this data, these individuals represent a clear threat to national security and the nation's economy. President Donald Trump and Musk have defended DOJ's work, saying it's led to billions of dollars in government savings. A spokesman for the Trump administration says it's vital that DOJ workers have access to federal databases. Donna Warder, Washington.
Egypt says negotiations between Israel and Hamas on the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire have begun, and Israel's military is acknowledging it underestimated Hamas's capabilities ahead of the October 7th attacks. This is AP News. Nicole Winfield now with an update on Pope Francis's health from Vatican City.
Doctors say Pope Francis is continuing to show improvement as he battles double pneumonia. Today he was able to start alternating between the high flows of supplemental oxygen that he has been using to breathe with a mask. That is a sign that his respiratory condition is improving. He was also able to get up and out of his hospital room and go down the hall to the private chapel that's located in the papal apartments on the 10th floor of the Gemelli Hospital. He went there to pray. It's the first time we've heard that he was able to get to the chapel since last Friday. That was before he had this significant respiratory crisis over the weekend. Doctors say his prognosis is still guarded. They say they want to see a few more days of clinical stability before they say he is out of danger.
Again, that's the AP's Vatican correspondent, Nicole Winfield. And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thank you for listening.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low temperature of 34 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Friday, we'll see partly sunny skies with a high of 56 degrees and winds out of the southwest at up to 45 miles an hour. There is a wind advisory in effect for Friday afternoon. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature around 31. Sunday, sunny and a high of 36. Monday, chance of rain, high of 45. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 46.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
all text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KTNF AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're broadcasting here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal out of Chicago, but you can listen to us anywhere in the world on your TuneIn app. You can watch our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. So thank you so much for joining us. Do me a favor and go on over to the Patti Vasquez show page, like our page, and you're welcome to join into some of the conversations and madness with some of MAGA who are just losing the angriest winners in the world, Carmen Navarro Gercone.
That's what I don't get. You won.
Come on.
You won.
You got everything. So we're supposed to sit down and shut up, apparently. Did they?
Listen, you won. You got a peaceful transition of power.
I mean,
you're going about your business.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready.
We're going to call you on your...
And we're not going to... Yes. And we're still working.
Yeah.
Why? What is wrong with you?
I don't know. We're supposed to, they want us to just, but that's the thing about othering people, is that you want them to disappear, and they don't care how it's done. Which, by the way, we're going to talk to a woman who was in the room last week when the activist Dr. Teresa Borrenpohl was dragged forcibly, not by even law enforcement. We're going to talk to Carmen about that in a little bit, but not by law enforcement, by security, and they're yanking her. They're yanking her by her arms. She's trying to pull away from them. She's asking them, "Who are you? What are you doing?" They drag her on the floor out of the room. They're trying to put zip ties on her. She's out of her shoes. Nobody. And here's the thing. But there were people in the room, Carmen, that were applauding them doing that to her. Mm-hmm. To me, like that's like a layer that is incomprehensible, that your neighbors, your community is like, yeah, get her.
Because the mentality is, if I don't like what you're saying, I'm going to shut you up one way or another. That's the problem, and that's what they were applauding.
And that's what people are acting like on my Facebook page. So come and hang out with us on the Patti V show page. And
I wish somebody would.
I wish I haven't worked out enough for somebody to. I can do like,
I got you,
lower
Patty.
my center.
I got you.
I ain't there yet. I know that for sure. I mean, I ain't going down quietly. But at any rate, let's get to our phone calls. Before we do that, I want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. Thank you to Source Solar. Go to source.solar to find out about their programs to get solar panels on your house. Make an appointment. Peter and Warren will be joining us in the next few weeks to talk about the process, and maybe we'll have they're going to come to my house first, and maybe come to my house and listen to the conversation, and then bring it home, because I know your family is like, no.
Yeah.
Who doesn't think that solar's? I'm sorry, but I've wanted solar forever.
No, they are not understanding why it's necessary, especially the amount of energy that we use. Like, maybe if we weren't using so much, it would not be something that would be needed. But the concern is more around, okay, if we sell the house, do you buy the solars? Are they leased? Are they, because like, who actually...
These are all good questions.
Exactly. And so my son, who actually, he's a carpenter in Union, and so they do make...
Fair. So these are good things to know.
So he's got a background of what questions to ask. So that's what. So it's not that it's not a good idea. It's just not necessarily good for everyone.
Yeah, and that's what, and Peter Warren will tell you that exactly. Yeah. It's not right for everybody. So that's why I want you to find out if it's right for you folks. Yes. Source.solar, your source for solar in Illinois, and of course Minocqua Brewing Company are sponsors from the beginning, and we had such a great time in their tap room in Madison last week. So make sure you go to their website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. I write pieces for them every month. And some of their gear is so much fun. Check out their beers, their wines. They do now have, you have to go to Madison to get that, but they do have a new beverage called Joint Sessions, which is a Delta 9 product, just so everybody knows. It's a little, I love the name. And what beverage did you have, Lady Justice? This is for...
Perfect name.
Yes. For Judge Susan Crawford's race, we are going up door knocking on Wednesday. Adam Selzer just messaged me. Do you want to go door knocking in Wisconsin?
Not on Saturday.
Not on Saturday. All right, then fine. Maybe some other time. How about the door knocking in Seattle? We're coming to Seattle someday, Paul. I swear to God, I'm going to come out to Seattle as soon as I can. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, I know. And one of you was just there to visit your friend.
I was there.
That's right, Julie.
Yeah, I was there to visit my friend Julie. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had a Julie.
What part of town does she live in?
She had to come visit me because I was staying in Seattle. She lives right outside of Seattle. I forgot the name of the small town, but it's a small town right outside.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I live on the east side anyway. But you were talking about this incident in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where they zip-tied this woman. Coeur d'Alene is a beautiful area. Lake Coeur d'Alene is lovely. But what might shed some light on this is Coeur d'Alene is a big haven community for retired cops. They all, for some reason, they all go there. So they all think they have a right to zip tie you and do whatever they want to do to you because they're retired cops, So that's why the audience was, or the people were applauding, because that's what they think is. I mean, there's nobody who's thinks they're more entitled to, wreak their power over you than retired cops, because
not all of us, Paul.
So if you're just saying something, and exercising your right to free speech, and it annoys them, well, they'll just zip tie you and drag you out.
Wow. Yeah.
So then the people working security there, or even the owners, the owner of the security company that was there, may also be retired cops, is what I'm guessing then. Because if that's an area, because we do have areas like that here. And there's areas in Florida like that, too, where all the retired cops go. And so that area is a little different than everything else around it. So I can see that. That would mean that even though they're saying that it was security, those security guys could very well be
coppers.
Retired. But I'm a retired cop, but I don't believe my kids have worn me down. So
you're not out zip tying protesters.
I'm not out zip tying protesters. Some of my children are protesters, so I definitely get it. But yeah, thanks for that background, because that is helpful, kind of the culture of the area.
Yeah, I think Idaho in general has a unique energy to it. Can I say it that way? Don't they also seem to draw a lot of cults and things like that? Like massive. I mean, there was one I saw on Netflix where they had bought massive amounts of property. They were the ones that poisoned the water and spread some sort of contaminants at a salad bar, like in the 80s. It was a crazy cult. Well,
and then there was Randy Weaver and the guy who was federal authorities were looking for on gun violations, and he, because he cares so much about his family, he decided to get into a shootout with federal authorities while his wife and children were in the house. And of course, his wife was killed in the shootout.
Holding her baby.
That's because he cares about her so much. That was back in the early 90s.
Yep.
That's a smart guy. They took him alive, but his wife they had to take out feet first. That's because he cares so much about his wife and family that he gets into a stupid shootout with federal authorities over his gun rights and gets them killed. So that was, it's a lovely place. I mean, Idaho actually is really stunningly beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to, I have a confession to make. The email that Elon Musk sent out, he said it wasn't a performance review.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pulse check.
Right.
Well, I'm one of those people who has a fraudulent government job. And
really?
As a matter of fact,
Paul,
I have 100 of them. I make $80,000 a year on all of them. And you know what I did? I just looked up the job description for. I got I'm Rudy Gazzuti at EPA.gov and Alfred E. Newman at EPA.gov. And I just replied with, here's the 5 things I did last week. And I got all my checks today. $8 million.
Wow. Now, here's my question about sending these emails, right? Because I've thought about doing things anonymously. Now, Paul, are you creating a separate VPN and an email? I know you're generating these email accounts. Can you generate a .gov email account?
Well, no, I just hacked into the system, and that's how I got hired. I hired myself. I hired myself 100 times. And then, I paid myself, because I didn't want to get caught, so I paid myself, a modest salary, $80,000 a year. And the checks just keep rolling in. So, when I got those emails, I thought, well, if you want to keep the gravy train rolling, you better reply. And I did. And so, I'm sorry about all the other people who didn't reply and got fired, but I was a fraudulent one, and I couldn't, I had a hard time sleeping last night. I thought, what I got to do? I got to confess. So I got to call Patti Vasquez and confess.
I appreciate that.
I mean, can you imagine how stupid? It's likely that the only people that did, if there are any fraudulent, 1 million people are working for the federal government are all fraudulent. I mean, really? This guy is how stupid. He's not even really.
Okay,
trying to hide the ball? Is he? He's just acting like.
no.
I think Elon Musk is really an idiot.
Well, I do
really
too, but there's so many idiots. So I don't know if so. Joan mentioned this on her show with her guests Mark and Jennifer. There's a story in the Washington. I'm not laughing. I didn't laugh outrageously earlier when I read. It's sad. It's very, very. I'm sorry for this family. So this young woman who decided she knew that Trump was a liar and that he was convicted and knew he did all these horrible things, but he said that he was going to make sure that IVF was free, and so she voted. She and her husband voted for him, and she worked for the federal government, and she was fired. It's terrible. It's so bad. And IVF is not free. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pray for your soul. I am gonna pray for your soul.
I'm so sorry. It's such a close conversation with a leopard. What did his breath smell like when he got so... I'm sorry.
I cannot. I'm going to take a moment to pray for Petty Patty the ghost.
That sounds terrible.
No more calls from Seattle for you. No more Seattle calls.
I'm so sorry. It's terrible. What happened to you? I gotta go, Paul. I need to take a break and get some water. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Paul.
I know he's a liar, but
But he promised me.
He said the thing.
He promised me. He said the thing. I know he's a liar. I know he's bad. But he said that for me, he was going to do this. And I believed him.
I just want to know if the leopard was wearing lip gloss. More in a moment on WCPT. Maybe she wasn't. It was
I don't know.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting. Every 60 seconds, someone in the United States dies from a heart disease-related event. We asked Dr. Curtis Rimmerman from the Cleveland Clinic, at what age is it wise to start scheduling regular checkups to monitor heart health?
What I would do is I'd take a step back and take an inventory of your risk factors. For instance, is there a pervasive premature coronary artery blockage and heart attack in your family? Do you have high cholesterol? Are you clearly out of shape? You haven't exercised in a long time. You're overweight and you want to start an exercise program. Do you have diabetes? Have you been a long-term smoker? If any of these red flags emerge, then I would say starting in perhaps around age 40 or so, a checkup would be appropriate. Presuming that you've had checkups previously and you want to start an exercise program but don't have many red flags, that's probably safe to do on your own, particularly, again, if your risk factor inventory is pretty low.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the mid-1800s, many American women were expected to follow what history calls the cult of true womanhood, where men would go off to work and women would stay home, taking care of the house, their children, and husbands. During the Civil War, many women left their homes to join the fight. Thousands of women from the North and South volunteered to join brigades, while over 400 women disguised themselves as men to fight in the war. In the Union, 20,000 white and African American women worked as nurses, traveling from hospital to hospital, offering care to wounded soldiers, even helping to convince the government to create the United States Sanitary Commission to create a preventive, hygienic, and sanitary service for the benefit of the Army. During the Civil War, women were faced with new duties, challenging many men's minds for what should be a proper woman's place.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning We always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you to the listener who encouraged me to take a deep breath after. Look, I'm not thrilled I don't take joy. It's my initial reaction to the story of someone who a single issue voter, right? Yeah. This young woman who voted for Trump because he said, I
know he's a liar, he promised
he said free IVF. Come on now. Who thought that was? And she works for the federal government, lost her job, and now can neither afford IVF nor, things that are necessary for herself and her family, her husband. Yeah. So take a deep breath. Okay. Then.
Okay.
Yeah. Because IVF was so controversial. Remember that, in Alabama, they decided that embryos were people.
Yeah.
They gave personhood to embryos, and that hasn't changed in Alabama. And I'm just saying they were coming for all of it. Edward in Mokina is joining me and Carmen Navarro Gercone. Hey, Edward, I'm more composed now. I've taken a deep breath. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, thank you.
Absolutely. What's on your mind, my friend?
I just sent a message that I was listening to Tom Hartman, and you're going to New Orleans, and there's an outbreak there, and the people that live in New Orleans are saying they're asking the mayor there to shut down Mardi Gras. So I'm just letting you know to be careful down there. That's all.
What's there an outbreak of?
Well, there's measles outbreak 142 or something in Texas, but it's spreading and it's getting close to and in New Orleans in that area. So be careful when you're down there. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it's a measles. There's a measles outbreak in New Orleans as well, or I guess during carnival season.
I think you might want to give Tom a call. He might have more facts than I do, of course. But I would look into that before you fly in there. I just don't want you to get sick, that's all.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. Well, you know what? I may, if that's the case, and I know that I'm going to stay with a friend of mine who is very cautious about her health and others. There's nothing wrong with, she has a wonderful balcony, and we can watch festivities go right by the street at her place. So maybe we just hunker down and enjoy each other's company. So thank you for that information. I appreciate it. I wear a mask on the plane.
It's okay. Great. Good luck. You have a great time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I cannot find anything about a New Orleans outbreak, though.
There was one last year.
Okay.
That I know, and it did involve some measles last year. So maybe it's that whole other, what did we have going around here? The flu and the norovirus and
oh God, and the norovirus is not. Have you ever had the noro?
I had it. It went through my whole house twice.
Oh my God,
it was horrible. I was in bed for 8 days.
Oh my God,
8 days. My husband could not believe it because I normally.
That's bad. Yeah, that was a bad one.
For me,
it was a bad one.
It was not fun.
All right, let's move on from infectious diseases. What's on your mind? What's on your mind, Bill? You're out of Wisconsin. How you doing?
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
A couple of things I want to comment on. You about Alabama declaring those fertilized eggs as people. You know what they're going to do? They're going to wait for those eggs to get of age, and they're going to register them as Republicans. And have some good Republican chairman vote for them because obviously they won't be able to mark their ballots.
Yep. Oh, my God.
The other thing, I would like to see the hosts on WCPT start out with a quote from Martin Mueller. He was a U-boat commander in World War I for the Germans. And he was hauled off to a concentration camp, and his quote goes something like this. When they came for the communists, I wasn't a member of the Communist Party,
right.
So I didn't say anything. When they came for the union members, I wasn't a member of a union, so I didn't say anything. When they came for the gypsies, I wasn't a gypsy, so I didn't say anything. When they came for me, there wasn't anybody left to say anything.
Right.
And my point is that this idea of governing with a we and them philosophy, this is like a target with different circles on it. And the first group of them, once they get eliminated, they're going to have another group of them. And that's going to be the second ring, and so on and so forth. I appreciate your program. I love listening to all of your hosts on WCPM. And I got the biggest kick out of your chuckle because that's exactly the way I feel. I have disowned relatives and neighbors because they voted for the Orange Maniac. Yeah. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Take care. Yeah, I just got a text from somebody saying thank you for the laughs. I needed that. I mean, like,
it
my
cleared
belly.
it. That's what I was saying. Yes,
it was cleansing.
That was a full body laugh. That was a cleansing laugh.
You can ask Steve. I did the second time today. Same story. I can't.
Well, because it's funny. Okay.
Yeah. And then she was brave enough to. And I know people are like, oh, we have to welcome them back. I'm gonna have a good laugh. I'm gonna have a good laugh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some rage too. A little bit.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder how many other liars she's fallen for and will fall for.
I mean,
just saying.
I'm just saying. Maybe don't say more mean things.
No.
Hey, Dave in Hoffman Estates, are you hydrating?
I'm well, thank you. I told you, I learned that one from somebody long before you came into the scene.
Yep.
And he was very good.
Excellent.
You were talking about this week or whatever that you were going to have the former chief of Aurora Police that was there that time when that Henry Platt shooting.
She's you're talking about Kristen Zeman. She's retired chief from there. She's going to be at our Women of the Shield event on March 28th. She's our keynote speaker. Right. Yeah, she's our keynote speaker for our Women of the Shield. I'm sure she'd love to come and talk on here as well.
Well, I was going to mention to you, Patty, and that on that shooting, we kind of got stories of 6 degrees separation on two people that were there. One was that Aurora police officer that got shot in the leg or the knee.
Yeah.
Well, his dad used to be with our group that hung out by the McDonald's. He's since passed on. His father died in that, and because of that shooting, he got medically retired, I believe, because I think I met him one time talking with him when he was at his dad's house, and he was saying something. I think that bullet is still in there, or at least a portion of that bullet is still in there. And the second one was the brother of my former boss. He was with the ATF. And they went to for that shooting range they had at the Aurora police station, I guess. They said it was one of the best around or whatever, and they were there, and they happened to hear on the radio that there's an active shooter, and they said, here in Aurora. And they went, they went there too. So I just kind of thought that's kind of strange to have, two people that kind of had been intertwined with in some way or another that had been involved over there.
Yeah, and you know what? If more people stop to realize, and that's a shame, because as when people talk about firearms and what firearms, and people want to, I want to keep my guns because, guns are so important to people. They don't understand that even law enforcement is afraid of the kind of firepower that's out there because they can't defend themselves, as you can see, let alone defend the community from that type of firepower. There is no reason people should have those firearms. Like there's no good reason for having them in this. There just isn't.
Jesus told me I could have guns that shoot 75 rounds a second. No,
no.
And I just thought you may find that of interest if you talk to the former chief that should know who I'm talking about. I don't want to.
Yeah, no, she's actually a very good friend to me. She was a good friend, a good supporter, and she does a lot of good. But she spent a lot of time helping her officers even after that and through that, and she herself needed a lot of time to heal after that.
I can imagine.
Being a woman in law enforcement and then being the chief was very difficult to get her team through that.
Yeah, because if I recall right, didn't like about 5 or 6 people get killed in that or whatever?
Yeah,
a couple
right.
officers got wounded.
It was a workplace situation where somebody had been let go.
I think they had to drive like the police vehicle to use it like a shield for them to get through finally.
To get one of the other officers out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And real quick, so you get to others on talking about with the eggs and that, with the shortage on the eggs. Don't they still use the eggs in making vaccines?
I'm not familiar with the chemicals involved. I know that they have, or if you have an egg, I think if you have an egg sensitivity, you need to be aware of that. So my guess is they still do, but it won't matter because they have paused the research into developing the next flu season vaccination. So you're going to have a respiratory infection rather than having any concerns about it.
I just need to remember something about it. That's
Don't
why
worry about how expensive the vaccine's going to get. Yeah. Maybe that's why. I have no idea. I got to run. I've got a guest coming up. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Coming up after this, we are going to talk to someone who was in the room when security, and I don't know if I want to find out if law enforcement, I feel like one was law enforcement, but Laura Tennyson's going to join us to talk about her friend, Dr. Teresa Borrenpohl, who was physically, violently removed from a town hall meeting in Idaho. Let's take a break here and continue the conversation. Joining me in studio is Carmen Navarro Gercone. We'll talk more about women in the Shield. Women in the Shield?
Women of the Shield.
Women of the Shield. Get your prepositions right. I apologize. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low temperature of 34 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Friday, we'll see partly sunny skies with a high of 56 degrees and winds out of the southwest at up to 45 miles an hour. There is a wind advisory in effect for Friday afternoon. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature around 31. Sunday, sunny and a high of 36. Monday, chance of rain, high of 45. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 45.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Hurry into Menards and save big money on your bathroom refresh. Max has a great selection of showers, tubs, and surrounds. Max's U-Towel shower kits combine luxury with practicality. They have a sleek design and make installation simple. Save big money on Max showers. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
The Democratic Party of DuPage County is celebrating 50 years with a gala event on Sunday, March 2nd. Make your plans to attend this very special event at Bobak's Signature Events in Woodridge. The program begins at 5:30 p.m. The list of speakers includes Governor J.B. Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, and several members of Congress. The keynote speaker will be Anderson Clayton, who is one of the rising stars of the Democratic Party. Anderson was elected chair of the Democratic Party of North Carolina at the age of 23. The DuPage Dems Gala funds efforts to defeat extremists in DuPage County and fight back against Donald Trump. Get your tickets now. It's the Democratic Party of DuPage County 50th Anniversary Gala, Sunday, March 2nd at Bobak's Signature Events in Woodridge. Buy your tickets now before it sells out. For tickets, visit DuPageDemocrats.com. That's DuPageDemocrats.com.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
And everywhere around the country. Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. I am your host, Patti Vasquez, in studio with Carmen Navarro Gercone. And we want to welcome to the show. Carmen just is learning about this story. I know a lot of folks have seen the video, the images of a woman who was forcibly dragged out of a meeting in a town hall meeting in Idaho. So joining us on the line is Laura Tenneson joins us. I have all these names in my head. Yeah. First of all, hi Laura. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
We're grateful that you have documented this. I know this must have been terrifying for you when you were in the room. I want to preface this by saying that Carmen is she's retired law enforcement. She served for over 26 years with the Cook County Sheriff's Department and worked in our courts. And she was absolutely shocked when she saw this video. So I want to ask you first, what was the nature of this meeting? Was this like a electeds locally, at the state level, federally? Tell us about the meeting first.
It was a legislative town hall held by the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, and it featured some of our state representatives and senators.
Okay, so this is a general legislative conversation. So tell us a little about yourself, first of all. Where did you grow up in Idaho?
I didn't. I did go to high school here, but I grew up over in Western Washington.
Okay, so you're familiar with the community. You're part of you've lived in this community for a while.
Yes, my family moved here in 1996, and it was right before the trial of the Aryan Nations that happened when Richard Butler was kicked out of Coeur d'Alene. And I do remember all of that going on. I was very aware of what was happening and why it was happening, and it was a really scary time. So I have been in Idaho for quite a while.
And the reason I ask is that we had a listener from Seattle call and tell us a little bit of the I think everyone has sort of an idea. Like, I live next to Wisconsin. I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of so many of the communities that I visit and I love, but it's different when you live someplace. So have you been, tell us a little bit about your background. Are you a progressive, politically, or was this something you just wanted to know about? Or are you a Republican? And it doesn't even matter because you went to this meeting to find out what was going on in your community. I guess it's the best way to frame this. What were you thinking would happen at this meeting?
I have been attending these meetings for about 6 years now, and so I expected to go. I expected to hear from our legislators. I expected to not be able to ask any questions. I expected for there not to be any public comment, because that's how it's been for the last 6 years. They do allow questions, but they make everybody write them down, and then they select which ones are asked. And never once in the 6 years I've been attending has anyone I've been with had their questions asked. I live in a very red county as a liberal progressive, and so it is kind of difficult, and it is really hard to have our legislators hear our voice.
Oh, man. So, no, go ahead, Carmen. I know you're appalled. I know.
I'm just, I don't even understand how that's okay. Like, part of the rules and things are when you have public comments, you sign up ahead of time and you're allowed to. So they don't even have to hold a meeting? Like, those rules don't apply to them?
They just don't have public comment. As you entered, when you first arrived, they offer you a 3x5 index card sometimes not. And they say if you have a question, write it down on this card. And then, as I've been told, there are 2 women on the Central Committee who are in charge of choosing which questions get asked. And all I know is they never ask liberal questions. They never ask questions that challenge the legislators. It's always questions to make them look favorable.
And for all we know, they're writing their own questions to themselves.
Sure, that would be very possible.
Whatever they really want to discuss and whatever drum they want to beat that evening, those are the questions they're going to write.
That's how you do that. Now, have there been folks who have yelled out in meetings before?
Yeah, we have. Okay. I mean, we've been heckling. I went with
I love you so much.
6 friends.
Right, go ahead.
Thank you. So the last year or two, we've just really gotten frustrated with having no voice in our local political system. And so we've begun heckling. And we don't, hurl personal attacks or anything on the legislators. We say things that are true about what is being discussed at that moment. And so we had, between the 6 or 7 of us, we had yelled out probably 6 or 7 times in the first hour. And that was just prior to what you saw on video.
Okay, so you guys had been heckling them, and yelling things. And when we say heckling, look, I've been a stand-up comic for a long time. I think, to me, heckling is interrupting a show. That's something it's disruptive. But when we're talking about a town hall meeting where for years your experience has been to be shut out, you're demanding trying to be heard. And I think that, to me, I know that you're calling it heckling, but to me, it's like, it's your right. And I think we're all behind you on this and demanding your voices to be heard. Had there been other meetings where they've threatened to have you removed?
There have been other meetings where they tell us to leave, and we actually have.
Okay.
Or where they've threatened to remove us, and we've just left of our own volition. But this time we decided we're not leaving. It is our right to be here and to exercise our First Amendment right to free speech. And so we told them no. Teresa was not the first person they told to leave. It was one of my other friends, and she said no, and then they went after Teresa.
Wow. See, I was shocked. I didn't hear about it till today. And when I saw the video, I'm like, that would not happen here. Like, we have people who speak, like, we have the luxury here of living in a blue city, blue county. Yeah. So the arguments and the fighting still happen because there's certain beliefs people hold, and, there's always going to be disagreements. We have pretty contentious meetings, and even in our county board meetings where the sheriff sits as security for the meeting, right, to oversee. People get loud and disruptive and aren't quiet when they're told to be quiet, and if they speak beyond their 3 minutes, and they usually just wait till they get tired, or they'll call off the meeting and wait till it's done. But they will not have the sheriff put their hands on people and forcefully pull them out. Would not. And
that's the part, right? Even the sheriff. So that's the problem. So was one of the guys that approached you was one law enforcement, and the other two were like private security? We find out later because no one knew.
Yes. So the sheriff is the one that first approached Teresa and first tried to pull her out of her seat, and she resisted his efforts. And so at that time, he called or beckoned for two men to come and assist him. At that time, we didn't know who those men were, what their authority was. We had no idea. For all we knew, they were attempting to abduct Teresa. We didn't know where she was going to be taken. It was terrifying and not something that I ever thought I'd witness in this country.
And on top of that, I mean, basically, it seemed as though people in the meeting, I mean, people in the seats were cheering her being violently removed.
There definitely were people cheering. There were a lot of people trying to help her. And actually, at least one of them was unlawfully detained. They put zip ties around his wrist and held him up against the wall. And I believe that was the security guards who did that. So there were people trying to help, but there were definitely people who were cheering. There were people, there was a man who blocked my friend's way as she tried to follow Teresa as she was being dragged by her hair out of the auditorium to make sure she was okay. And a man tried to completely block her way so that she could not assist her friend. It was appalling.
Yeah, and I mean, like, who are the other people? Like, I mean, there is a way to help somebody that isn't just sitting. I mean, I get that people sometimes are frozen in the moment, right? And there's that sort of that standby. What is it called? There's something where you're incapacitated and in shock, and you don't help somebody.
Oh, they just freeze. Yeah, the people say I forget the word.
Bystander effect.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, they knew it was heated, and it's so horrifying. And let me ask, how is Teresa doing today?
She's still recovering emotionally, mentally, physically. This is going to be a long road to recovery. That's not something that you can just recover from, by the next day. It's going to be a hard road for her, and she definitely wants to pursue justice for what happened to her.
Yeah, because initially, Carmen, they charged Teresa, didn't they? They charged her with assault. They accused her of biting. And here's the thing for me. I mean, so what was so the prosecutor dropped the charges in that instance?
Yes, they charged her. They gave her a citation for battery. She was not arrested. She was released on site, and it was a day or two later that the prosecutor's office dropped the charges and said that they declined to prosecute because it appeared that her constitutional rights were violated.
Oh, thank God.
I still, that's not gonna. So I guess when Patti was asking earlier about were there people who were just standing around who looked like they wanted to help, and I'm just picturing that the only ones who wanted to help were the people who came with her. That the vast majority of people in there, because somebody said earlier that there were people who were applauding that she was being taken out?
Yeah, there were more than just our core group of friends who were trying to help. We knew quite a few people who were there, and they were all trying to assist. Right before it happened, Teresa turned to me and said, "Get this all on film." And so at that point, I decided that my prerogative was to film what's happening, let the other people try to assist, because I knew that if I didn't get it on film, that they wouldn't believe what happened, that we would not be in the situation that we're in today.
I agree with I do think this is an element, and when we are in our darkest moments of what is consuming our country, what's going on in D.C., when we have these Doge bags gutting our entire system of how we support each other, it is you are the journalist now. Laura, I mean, right. we need to know this, because I don't think a lot of folks realize what's happening. First of all, our friend Jess Piper repeatedly reminds us that Project 2025 was already in full operation across the country, including states like Idaho, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's like we didn't, this story has gotten a lot of attention. What kind of feedback or reaction have you gotten from around the country?
It's really been amazing, the outpouring of support that Teresa has received, and people are appalled that this happened, but especially that it happened to a white woman. Nobody ever thought that would be the case, We've seen this kind of treatment against minorities for a long time, and it's awful. What's happening to our colored community is absolutely awful, but nobody ever thought that it would happen to a white woman. And just the fact that it did just really shows how far our local GOP has been taken over by extremists, and it's really sad.
Have people been reaching out to you that maybe weren't comfortable enough to say that they didn't agree with what MAGA is doing, whether or not they're conservative or liberal? Are you hearing from anybody in the community that wants to lend their support or perhaps join you in this stand?
Absolutely. We have been bombarded with messages from local community in support on both sides of the aisle.
Wow.
Because this is a First Amendment rights issue, and that's a huge thing in our country, and there are just as many Republicans who support the First Amendment as there are Democrats. And so I think this really has been almost a uniting incident, even though it was so awful. I think it is bringing people together in our community over a common shared value.
I really cannot thank you enough for making sure that people know what's happening. Because here's the thing, we don't know in other places. When you mentioned that, you don't know, she didn't know where they were going to take her in that moment of, is this it? Is this where it starts? Because look, I've heard some terrifying conversations over the last week and a half that when it happens, when the final blow to democracy happens, the people that will disappear are your journalists and your commentators and your critics so I understand that moment of like, is this it? And without capturing it, who knows what might have happened? I mean, like, that's another thing. They knew that you had your camera on them. Who knows what else they might have? They were already basically ripping her clothes off. And
yeah, but I'm not surprised it happened to it. At the end of the day, the color of her skin doesn't matter. She's white. That doesn't matter. She's a woman. Like, they don't care. They want us all to shut up. I'd be more surprised if it had happened to a white man. The fact that it happened to a woman is not surprising to me at all, regardless of the color of her skin. If it had happened to a white man in that area with that and that kind of meeting and that kind of environment, I would have been more surprised. But they've been attacking women in general. We've been watching it. All our rights, our reproductive health, everything. So I'm not surprised. That part doesn't surprise me. We're targets, and that's why she was so afraid. Yeah. Because what are they going to get away with? What are they going to go? They're going to drag me, and what are they going to get away with doing with me?
Yes.
That's a real that's power and control. That's what it's about.
We saw the terror on her face, and I won't forget that. And we're just so thankful that she's okay.
I'm thankful for that she's okay. I'm grateful to you for standing on business, both of you, for videotaping this so that we might all see behind that. And now I understand that the security firm, I guess, that was hired to be at the event, they've lost their license. Is that right?
Correct. And it's interesting because the ordinance came up before City Council not that long ago to change the requirements for security companies. And the owner of Lear Asset Management went and testified against those changes. And it was those exact changes that they were not following when they were working at the event on Saturday. And their business license, I believe, was revoked on Monday. It didn't take long at all.
Wow. Well, is there? Do you guys have an organization that you're affiliated with that we can direct people to so they can stay informed as to what's going on in your community?
We are working on setting up a legal fund to help, not only Teresa, but other people who were impacted by this event and maybe who will be impacted by future events. But I would keep an eye on Pro Voice Idaho.
Okay. Excellent.
Because they will be putting out some event info pretty soon.
Pro Voice Idaho? Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, it was great to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making sure that your friend was safe and the way that and bringing that story to life for people around the country. And I know it's scary, and I know that as you mentioned that it was a white woman is scary because imagine how people of color, like if they'll do it to her, what are they going to do to me? So thank you so much for standing again in defense of the absolute terror, and I know that you've gone through for 6 years, for showing up. Thank you for showing up under circumstances that many of us probably couldn't or wouldn't.
It's the least I can do, and I'm not going to stop. I'm only going to be more serious about making my voice heard.
Well, let us know anytime we can help. We would love to talk to you again, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Send Teresa our best and everyone that you work with. We're here. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I mean, you're right, Carmen. When we have the comfort of being in Chicago, and we know that people yell at city hall meetings, and we're like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
well, okay,
they're popping off.
They said, but and they have regulars, that line up to, and every time they show up, they still allow them their public comments, like everyone knows, and they still let them. Like I can't see that happening. That's but I wasn't surprised it happened to a woman.
Let's take a quick break, and now we got a couple phone calls to get to before we end the show tonight. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're in studio with Carmen Navarro Gercone, and I'm so glad you're here today.
In Illinois, animals are being tortured illegally for fun. Horses are whipped and punched in the face. Terrified steers are beaten and shocked with electricity.
Animals with broken legs and backs receive no medical care.
Why won't political leaders stop this criminal abuse? Please visit www.steertailing.com to help Showing Animals Respect and Kindness abolish these criminal acts. And please tune in on Saturdays at 5 p.m. for Chicago Alliance for Animals If Cage Walls Could Talk.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was a great conversation with Laura, and man, I can't. And I got a big mouth. Carmen,
have you been dragged out?
I've never heckled because to our conversation. I've never been in a situation where I will because we also give the microphone to other people. Right. I've testified in committee hearings. I've spoken in front of groups. I mean, I get the microphone so often that I can't imagine like having to. I would if I was in a situation like that. I can't honestly cannot put those shoes on. I've never walked in those.
I think I would be standing there in disbelief. Like, wait a minute. I can't yell out. I can't.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be yelling. But I haven't been in a meeting like that. Derek's on the line from Elgin. Hi, Derek. What's on your mind?
Hi, Patty.
Hey.
In your interview with your last guest, made reference to, or somebody made reference to, this has been going on for a long time. I want to bring awareness to you and your listeners. The American Legislative Exchange Council, also known as ALEC, was funded or is funded by right-wing billionaires, and it was initially funded by the Coke industry. And what they did was recruit Republicans throughout our country in these red states, and the corporate world had their lawyers write model bills for them.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing with Project 2025 today is just the absolute growth, if you want to call it that, of what they've been doing. So I'm asking everybody, go to Center for Media and Democracy.
Okay.
They are an organization out of Madison, Wisconsin, and you will learn everything that you need to know about ALEC. It is the Center for Media and Democracy. I believe it's.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I've got the Facebook page out of Madison. Yes, thank you for this. I appreciate that. To learn more, we should all be better informed.
You guys have a good night.
You too, man. Yeah, he's right about Alec. I've heard of that before.
I had not. Yeah.
Rachel's in Park Ridge. Hi, Rachel. Are you hydrating?
Yes, I'm trying to. Exactly. So the incident at the town hall, just utterly just disgusting. I don't know. Do we need to start having security go with citizens to protect them?
Yeah.
Right. Have some big black men would roll down with you. I don't care. Just some big muscle guys.
Yeah.
To put these guys in their place. But I was just saying that yes. I didn't hear it while you guys were talking about it, but yes, the security firm that hired these guys, they have now lost their license. So you got to hit them where it counts. Yep. And so we've gotten rid of that one. But when we go to vote again, and as we build our own Project 2026 or whatever you want to call it, let's stop putting labels on our agenda. As far as DEI or whatever, because whatever label we use, they're going to turn it and make it foul and make it ugly. But going forward, no matter who we have on the ticket, to run, they got to stand for the Constitution, and that's our message. We stand for lawfulness and the Constitution, and we're going to improve the Constitution, or we're going to build up, but we're going to do it the right way through Congress. But these, they got to give us the majority. We need a super majority to fix this stuff.
Yeah, you're breaking stuff.
She was pounding something.
Yeah, Rachel's like breaking stuff. She's like banging on the table. Yes, and I'm with you. And that was why I knocked on doors so hard in Wisconsin, because I felt that energy, and I wanted it to be a thunderous victory. I honestly I thought I felt good about. I wanted it to be undeniable. But now, I mean, like,
absolutely,
and that's what we have to keep doing. We have to keep showing up with that energy, make it undeniable.
And all of these individual groups, whether it's they only care about immigration, or they only care about this or that, just stop it. You're either going to sign on for the whole thing, meaning the bigger picture. We need to, all of us, we need to look at the bigger picture. You want to keep going through this like this, then keep that single-mindedness going. But if you want to, have peace in America again, then you're going to have to broaden your understanding of what is right to have. I don't agree with everything, but I'm going to stick with Democrats, and I'm going to, as long as we, have smart people at the top, and hey, maybe, Schumer and all of them, they got to take a seat.
I'm with you on that. We need Rachel out there. Rachel, just telling them that, Rachel, I got to end the show. Thank you, my friend. It was great to hear from you. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bless.
Hydrate. God bless. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to Source Solar for making the show possible. Thank you to Carmen Navarro Gercone, the website for Women of the Shield.
Yes, womenoftheshield.org. We have our brunch coming up on March 28th in the afternoon. We have retired Chief Kristen Zeman's going to be our keynote speaker. And just come out and support women in law enforcement and future women in law enforcement. You can also find a link to donate on that same website page.
Excellent. And Randy Rhodes is up next. Valerie McManneil. Love you, Lady B. We'll see you all tomorrow.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
AP News.